Hi, Carol.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, Carol.
Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Where's Amy? Oh, there she is.
I'm right
Hi,
here.
Amy.
Hi.
Mike.
So you are live.
Okay. Welcome everybody to our October 6th work session. I am calling the meeting to order at 6:38. We will start with our statements from the public. I just wanted to remind people about the process that we just recently changed our policy for. We have, sorry, I just want to get my thing. We have a list of people who did send their information along with the topic that they wanted to discuss. Ivy has given everyone a number. Also, I believe Ivy also shared that each public statement or community member will come in one at a time. Once they're completed, they will be let out of the meeting, and they should join the live feed so they can continue to see it. And that's the process of, as far as like how we will continue to do the policy. So, Ivy, I'm sorry. As far as just as a reminder, let me see. Where is it at? So for public participation, just as a reminder, the Greenberg Central School District Board of Education encourages public participation on school-related matters at board meetings. Persons wishing to address the Board of Education shall advise the president of the Board of Education or the district clerk prior to the scheduled starting time of the meeting. The request shall be made in writing on a form and we've accepted email provided by the district clerk and shall include the name of the speaker, the address, telephone number, name of the organization represented, if any brief description of the topic to be addressed. Any group or organization wishing to address the Board of Education must identify a single spokesperson. Speakers will be permitted to speak for no longer than, all right, I'm sorry, Ivy, I'm reading this and
There's a separate section for online.
I'm trying to, where?
Virtual meetings.
It's at the bottom.
Antoinette,
Yeah,
or maybe
at the
Laser,
bottom.
there's some issues with the YouTube feed. I'm getting all types of messages that people are not able to see on YouTube. It's just spinning.
Also, I'm getting messages that people can't plug into the Zoom session. That
They're here. They're just in
They're in the
they're just in the waiting room.
the waiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all there.
Okay.
All right, I do see the virtual meeting section. Okay, I see. Okay, I'm gonna skip down to it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Laser.
No, I'm looking at the YouTube live.
Okay, I'm asking that they said everyone's saying you haven't started yet, correct? Just see spinning. Do you have technical difficulties? So I don't know. I'm just sharing.
Let me
what they
look
were saying.
I'm gonna look at my other laptop to see. But I'm seeing it on this one.
Let me see. I guess you can go on your phone too.
Yeah, I could see it on my phone too.
I just got a text. I just got a text saying YouTube is fine. So I don't know if is there more than one again?
Oh well, I did do a test earlier at around 6 o'clock, so maybe that shouldn't be live, but yeah, I could see it on my phone too.
I just got a text saying YouTube is fine.
Yeah,
so I don't know if
it's up.
is there more than one again? Okay, I just got a text that it just came on. I don't know.
Okay, so there might be just a little bit of a delay, but it's
Okay.
live.
Yeah, I see it too. Okay. All right. So let me go back. So for virtual meetings, when board meetings are held via Zoom or another online platform, requests must be submitted to the district by email and no later than 24 hours prior to the meeting. Requests to speak will be honored on a first come, first served basis. Speakers will be permitted to speak for no longer than 2 minutes, and the entirety of the public comment session will not exceed 1 hour. For online meetings, only registered speakers will be allowed into the session for the duration of their comments. All other rules apply to virtual meetings as set forth in this policy. So, all right, so our first speaker, let me go to the waiting room.
Ms. Darden Cintron,
Yes?
first, before you do that, just let me share my screen. At
Oh,
Dr.
yes.
Reynolds' wonderful suggestion at the last meeting, Laser and I, we downloaded a timer.
Ah,
So let's see if it's, why is it not working?
That's
Ivy,
smart.
I have a question because I think some people, I'm getting text messages that some people are confused. If they're not going to speak, then they actually have to follow the meeting on YouTube, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I think I have to, see, I'm logged in, but now it's not letting me share my screen.
Okay. And so only those who have signed up to speak are currently in the waiting room and will be let in for the duration of their comments.
Correct.
Okay, so I think people were a little confused about that because some thought that they could just basically join the Zoom meeting and then speak. So, okay, let me just respond to those who are
No, but I
confused.
believe Ivy sent that in her email to each speaker.
Maybe, but I'm not sure that everyone got that. So,
I'm not getting, I don't know what you see.
It should be right after chat. Chat should be a share screen icon, Ivy.
No, I did it, and I don't know if you still see me or if you see
we'll
my,
see you.
We see you.
because it's not giving me the option to share what I have on my desktop. Let's see. Hold on, I apologize. Participants.
Antoinette, do you want me to let people in and out when they're time, or do you want to do it? Let me know.
Unfortunately, it's not letting me share my screen. I don't know
You
why.
are Tracy.
Laser, is it because it's a Mac?
No, you should be fine. Do you want me to do the timer?
If you can, because again,
Yes, if you-
I have the timer on my screen. It's just when I hit the share screen, it's not coming up.
All right, let me
So-
see if I can, hold on.
Tracy, Tracy, where are you? Oh, so Tracy, you will go ahead and let people in and out. Ivy, if it doesn't come up, will you be able to look at it and say, minute left, 30 seconds or whatever?
Well, Laser's going to try to share the screen.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to be working for me.
Try it again, Ivy.
Now it's giving me options.
To select a window.
Yeah, to select a window, and then I hit say portion of screen, and then I go to open system preferences, and it doesn't give me anything.
Oh, you have your, all right, so let me see if I can do this.
I apologize. We didn't test it on the MacBook, only on the computer.
All right, hold on.
Ivy, the YouTube link is on our website, right? And
Yes.
and where is it, on the front page or the
It's
board
on
page?
it's on the board's main page, and it's also on the actual calendar event for this evening.
If you
Okay,
go to youtube.com and type in Greenberg CSD, there's a actual Greenberg CSD page that you can
Yeah.
find. And I think Is it does Laser would know if the video, the current live video should be up top, like it should be.
Yes,
easy
it should
to
be,
find?
yeah, it says live in big green. Oh, I see what you're saying, maybe.
Okay.
I apologize, it's not working.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna try to share my, this.
If Laser can't share it, then I can just run it up. Yeah, that's
Can
that's
can you
what
see
it's
any,
supposed to look like.
Pretty big.
can you see anything?
Actually, everything except the time. You have to scroll
Yeah.
down a little bit to see the time. Or make it
Uh,
small. There you go.
Okay,
That's good.
now I can't see
Okay.
faces.
all right, so then, okay, someone
Right.
has to let, who's, I guess, the first speaker, and then let me know.
Okay, Tracy?
I'm here. Okay, it looks like our first speaker is Amy Wang. So I'm gonna let her in now.
I can't see people's faces at all. Okay. Hi, Amy, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay. You're up.
okay, great. Dear GCSD Board of Education trustee, since my time is very short, I will have 3 questions for the board at the very end. I want to applaud you for working to ensure that educating children safely is the top priority for our public dollars. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm hearing people. Should I start over? Because,
Keep going, Amy.
okay. As a longtime GCSD parent, I've seen Dr. Trace last longer than prior 3 superintendents combined. After the prior turmoil, our district has emerged stronger and with focus on children and education. Through the years under Dr. Chase's leadership, we weathered through Common Core and APPR, reading and math curriculum aligned, transitional continuity amongst our 6 schools through PLC and better articulation. Our academic curriculum improved to include new IB offerings and a new IB diploma program. I saw progress in my own children's learning under Dr. Chase's leadership and with many newly hired
Amy,
teachers.
I'm sorry, Amy.
Yes,
For public comments, we cannot talk about individuals. We cannot talk about personnel matters.
I'm not talking about personnel. I'm talking about the district's history under my opinion.
I understand what I understand what you're saying that you're talking about, but I just have to, remind you that public comments cannot, be about personnel matters,
I'm not talking
individuals
about personnel. Again,
and
you know,
individuals.
under current leadership, especially important for 2020, every student from grades 3 to 12 has a Chromebook, which is amazing because now we're in the total remote learning. My questions are, why RFP? We are in a time of unprecedented turmoil and pain, especially now that our country has been hit with the pandemic. Our district, especially our children, needs stability to weather through this storm. We cannot expect Scarsdale Edgemont test scores when our school gets 45% taxes versus 65% in the high-performing district. Our district has implemented many positive changes, and current leadership has lasted longer than any superintendent in recent history.
Amy, I'm
Yep.
gonna say it again. You just cannot speak about personnel matters.
Again, this is not about personnel matters. I think we need to address that people don't have long history, long memory.
I hear you, but just when I listen to what the sentence that you are just saying, you just cannot talk
As a
about
minister,
personnel
I can tell
matters.
you that I can tell you and others that we live in a wonderful place, and that if we keep improving our schools, we will attract more and more new families.
Okay, Amy, thank you. I'm just gonna say your time is up at this point.
But I felt there was a lot of interruptions.
It was
I still
because
have
you
questions.
were saying things that you could not, speak about.
I
So I did
still
have
have
to remind you of that. So,
Did
Okay,
the clock stop?
yes,
thank
the
you. Yeah, the
has
clock
stopped.
is over.
So Amy, we do have the rest of your questions. We'll follow up with you with the rest of the questions that we can respond to.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
when
Answer that, answer
Okay,
that question.
Terry, I see you have your hand. Yes.
Thank you. Before Amy leaves, did the clock stop during the interruptions? Because historically what we've done is when there is a interruption, whether it's somebody asking a question or some dialogue, the clock starts. And if it didn't, if Amy could reclaim, if we could give Amy some of her time back to finish her statement without personnel mentions.
Tracy, do you know how much time did we go over the 2 minutes?
I'd say 15 seconds.
So we went over 15 seconds. I think that was a part of my interruption. We'll give Amy 30 seconds.
Thank you. I would like to know if
Wait,
there
hold
was
on, Amy. Oh, Laser, don't change that because I don't want you to change that clock there. I'll just put it on. I'll start it on my phone so you don't have to reset that. 1 second. I'm sorry, Amy.
Madam President, if I may,
Yeah, yes.
if you just start the clock again and then you cut it off at 1 minute, 30 seconds, that will be at 30 seconds, and you can reset.
I already have it on my phone. I'm good. Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. All right, Amy, go ahead.
great. My questions are, I would like to know if there was a walkthrough at R.J. Bailey and Woodlands Middle and High School. And are the schools ready for staff and students? And will you be sharing the walkthrough with us? That's question number one. Number two, what is the status of the mansion fix? What is the decision of the board? It's probably pretty costly. So I would like to know before we spend more money, how is that going to play out, since we seem to have buildings with children that have
Okay, Amy,
urgent need.
thank you. Yesterday, we did, not the full board, but board members were there. We did do the walkthrough of all of the buildings. If I'm correct, I wasn't there. I don't believe did you guys do ECP as well?
ECP personnel have all moved to other buildings.
We did not do the
So
main
we
building.
did Jackson and we did Highview. And so that covered, the
ECP
personnel there.
students. Yep.
We
So-
did not do the main building at ECP nor the mansion. We did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we didn't do either of those. We went to all the rest of them. David, later will be providing, a summary of our walkthrough.
Okay, I'm gonna put Amy
Wait,
back
wait,
to the waiting room.
wait, hold on for 1 second. That was, oh, the mansion. As of right now, we're still on hold. We haven't started, the work, up yet. I don't believe that we, have a full, like a quote of how much it would be to take care of all those things. I do know that, through our walkthrough with Mr. Falcone yesterday, one of the things that he said that, some of those items, the chemicals were already removed. He has a quote from, Mr. Falcone, I don't remember the company, but you do have a quote already for the cost to remove those items.
Yes, we have a cost.
Okay. All right. That is it for now. Thank you, Amy, for your questions. We appreciate you sharing, your thoughts and your questions. So thank you.
Working, okay.
Tracy, you got the list too.
I do. So next on the list is Kiana Washington. Just looking for her in the waiting room. Okay.
Hello, Ms. Washington. You have 2 minutes. And let's go.
All right, good evening. I'm on this meeting tonight to discuss the reopening plan, the Greenberg Central School District reopening plan. I felt that it was presented to the community late, and I professionally believe that it's inadequate. August 20th, parents were informed that students were going remote. Okay, is that a plan? During that meeting, there was extensive conversation about a virtual background. It's October 6th. My children still don't have virtual backgrounds, so I don't know if that's going to happen. August 22nd, the superintendent informed the Board of Education that they needed $2.5 million for district repairs. I find that to be an insult for anyone to tell the Board of Education right before the inadequate reopening of schools that they need $2.5 million for district repairs. What were they doing all summer? What was happening in March when we all went remote? What was going on? What was the superintendent doing from her tenure of 2014 to 2020?
Miss Washington?
Yes.
Just can we pause the clock? Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna pause you also because for a second we cannot discuss any personnel matters.
That's fine, but
Okay,
I asked a question. So now, then miraculously on September 24th, the superintendent stated that the whole entire district was going back, right? We're opening. Are we truly safe? Remember, August 22nd, the superintendent stated that staff members needed to use respirators to enter the mansion, but then later we found out that wasn't true. During the superintendent's campaign for the failed school bond, she repeatedly said that Bailey Elementary School was not up to code. Are we to believe it's up to code now? To the board members, would you send your children to Bailey right now in the 2020-2021 school year? There were about 100 bags of asbestos taken out of Bailey this summer. I think it is unsafe to reopen schools due to the current COVID spikes in New York State. I think we need to rethink what we're doing. Did the superintendent repair all the items in the building condition survey? Is there a state mandated asbestos management plan? Thank you.
Okay. I don't know, laser, those bells were us.
Those are my grandfather clocks.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so Dr. Reynolds, I don't know if you know, and I just jotted down some of Ms. Washington's questions. Do you know where we are with virtual backgrounds?
Thank you. Through the chair, through the president. At this point, Google is not prepared to release the platform to anyone as it relates to the virtual backgrounds. We are waiting on their response to the information that they provided to us that they would be ready. They've continually pushed that time frame back. What they have released is the ability to blur your backgrounds, which I believe we've released to all of our families. But at this point, Google is not prepared to release a platform for virtual backgrounds.
Okay, but can blur it. All right. And I'm assuming that if parents want to do that, they could, get help from the district in knowing how to do the blur feature if people needed assistance.
Yes, and if there's an overwhelming request for that, we can actually put something on our website that would give you the steps to how to get that done.
Okay. All right, let me see. Ms. Washington, you said, I think you were asking about all the buildings or just RJ Bailey in regards to being up to code. Could you just repeat that question?
I'm just going to clarify, simply because Dr. Chase at the time of the bond was campaigning and she kept saying on Facebook and everywhere that Bailey was not up to code. So that's why I use Bailey as an example. And being a former principal, I remember putting in a lot of repairs, asking for a lot of repairs, my assistant principal, Will Washington. And I know for a fact, those repairs were not done. Like the ventilation system, the asbestos, those things, you could look in School Dude, if you go back to 2015, 2018, you can look in School Dude and see all the things that we asked to be repaired. It wasn't repaired. But now I know it was because she wanted to sell Bailey, during the school bond.
Okay, Miss Washington.
No, you asked me the question, so I'm just letting you know.
I
why
know,
you
I'm
were
just saying,
on
let's
it.
just keep the personnel items out of the
No,
question.
no, no, that's my business. Remember, I'm not an employee anymore, so I could put out, that I was an employee. But what I'm just saying is that's why I use Bailey as an example, because of this repeated statement of the code and because I was a former principal and I know about the repairs. So that's why I use Bailey.
All right, thank you. Mr. Falcone, as far as Bailey being, or the buildings being up to code, do you have anything to offer for that?
When you say up to code, what Dr. Chase was referring to is the new standards. We are
Okay.
grandfathered in. And as the architect keeps on saying, we are grandfathered in, but up to state, the new codes, we are still grandfathered in.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Antoinette, Mr. Williams has his hand up.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Tracy. Antoinette, if you could also have Mike address the asbestos issue, because I don't want it to be hanging out there that asbestos is just floating around Bailey, as someone could assume based on Ms. Washington's comment. So two things. If you could ask Mike, if you could, if through the president, Mike, if you could address how asbestos is handled, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, the asbestos that was removed was surrounded the duct, the ventilation system. In order for us to fix the ventilation system, it needed to be removed. Okay, so it's not that the asbestos is just floating around anywhere. It's just an area where workers are going to be working that had asbestos on it, just like any kind of pipe insulation. Pipe insulation is throughout all of our buildings. It's not disturbed. It's perfectly fine. The reports that you were talking about is the adherer report that we do every 6 months. We just went through a triannual report. Okay, all are in good condition. So we do have a report for that. That's in every building. And like I said, as long as it's not disturbed, everything is fine.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Falcone. And Ms. Washington, later, David will be giving like a summary of our facilities walkthrough. So you'll be able to get, you and the rest of and the entire public will be able to get more information about, what we were able to see. All right. Thank you, Ms. Washington. Thank you, Ms. Washington, for participating.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Okay, the next person.
Okay, so the next person is, sorry, shut off, Lorraine Cantori. Let me find her name in here. L. Cantori, okay.
Laser, you putting the clock back?
Yeah, adding right now.
Thank you.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I think it says connecting to audio is what I see. Although I don't see her there, but I see her, I guess, window. Oh, there she is. Okay, connecting to audio, it says.
Okay, I can see Ms. Cantori now.
How are you?
Hi, Ms. Cantori.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So, okay, so I'd like to begin. I have questions, but I just want to begin by saying that I think the school board is doing a fabulous job. I am not a big fan of social media to see the, the cheap shots that people are taking, nor do I really care because the school board's in the driver's seat and they are like salmon swimming upstream. They work relentlessly, they persist. And I have to tell you, I can't end this compliment without a quote by Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. Okay, and I'm very thankful that there's a committed group of board members that stay the course, and it is so important in this day and age. Now, I have questions. The cost to run school buses is about $6 million a year. Why aren't students back in school? Do we have a definite date for students to get back to school? Okay, there's only 2 school districts right now in Westchester County that are not back in their physical classrooms, whether it's hybrid, et cetera. And that is Greenberg and that is Mount Vernon. Okay, there are a lot of parents that have financial struggles. They're juggling, they're paying extra for childcare. There are many parents that are very frustrated because their kids are not adapting well to the hybrid learning and to being online all the time, and they would be thrilled to have their kids socialized in a classroom where they interact with a teacher, with peers, and they could benefit in so many ways. I mean, I don't want to come across with the list, but I would love an answer as to when students will be back in school.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me see, Dr. Reynolds, do you want to lay out that timeline?
Thank you very much, Madam
Thank
President.
you.
Through the President, our teachers in grades pre-K through 3 returned to school yesterday in order to prepare their classrooms. Our students pre-K through 3 return to school this coming Tuesday. At the same time, our teachers, grades 4 through 12, will return to their classrooms on Tuesday to prepare their classrooms for students. And our students will return to school, grades 4 through 12, the following Monday to our schools, pending our clearance to return to school through the building, ability to house our students and our faculty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Thank you, Ms. Cantori, for your questions. We appreciate it. We're gonna let you out the meeting now and bring the next person in. Thank you.
Okay, next person is Nicolette Kato. I'm getting her name, hold on. Okay.
Okay. I can't see if she's in. Let me look.
I see her.
Right.
Nicolette, if you're on, you're muted. Oh, there you are.
Okay, I see her. Hi, Miss Kato.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So greetings, board trustees, Dr. Chase and Dr. Reynolds. I'm speaking on behalf of the Woodlands Middle High School PTSA. We would first like to say thank you for your commitment to reopening schools in a safe and effective manner.
If someone
Hi,
else
can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'm not sure. Someone else may have unmuted themselves by accident. Just please take a look at that. Let me look, Ms. Cato, just in case. No. Nope. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Cato.
So on my side, I hear myself talking.
Do you have another device open, like something else? Because that may be it. Like if you're on a computer, but let's say you have your phone, on YouTube or whatever, you might hear the feedback in your house.
Okay, can you see me now? And are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Definitely, we can hear you and see you.
Okay, very good. I'm going to skip. What I said earlier was I thank you guys for all your hard work, and we recognize your leadership and dedication. We would also like to give special recognition to Mr. Smith and the Woodlands administrative team. They have been communicative and proactive in regards to parent engagement and sharing any information that they received during these times with the parents at WMHS. As the PTA, we have a request and a concern that we would like to share. Equity in education regarding the hybrid experience. We are pleased to see that the needs of all students are addressed and valued with no particular school or age group given priority over the other. We recognize that there are needs that are specific and indicative of each age group. For example, suicide is the second leading cause of death for middle and high school students in the United States. As we move forward, we urge you not to prioritize the need of any particular group over the other. Hybrid is an option that must be healthy and accessible for all grade levels, and that is especially true for the Woodlands Middle High School students. With this said, we are excited that all of the schools will begin to transition towards hybrid this month. We have a very specific question. What is your plan in the event that RJ Bailey is deemed unpermissible to accept students? As it relates to positive COVID procedures, hybrid is scheduled to begin October 19th or thereabouts. When will parents receive written procedures for notifications and quarantine in the event a teacher, staff, or student tests positive? We are requesting specifics, not generalities. Is there a date that we can expect this information via email? Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Reynolds, question. Do you have any information on specific written procedures that will be made available to parents in regards to, quarantine, COVID, things like that?
Thank you very much. Through the president, yes, if you revisit our reopening plan, that is specifically detailed as to what we can release to the public in terms of a response to any instances of COVID exposure in the buildings. Our first and primary job is to conduct contact tracing, be in communication with the Centers for Disease Control, along with the Westchester County Department of Health primarily, and they will direct us into what information should be shared and through what vehicles we should share them. More than likely, as you may see from some other schools who are experiencing COVID related exposure, we will notify all parents who might have come in direct contact with the person who is suspected to have COVID, and directions that need to be followed following that will be released specifically in detail in that communication. So for instance, if the exposure is immediate, then we would have to inform parents that a quarantining of 14 days should be required. The next level above that is if it's higher than suspected and we are instructed to, we may require testing to be conducted based on the findings of the Department of Health.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me see. What is your plan if RJ Bailey cannot reopen? Again, I don't know, Mr. Falcone or Dr. Reynolds can chime in. I can only, assume, I know Dr. Chase sent some communication to families as well. I can only assume if Bailey is not ready to open, that we would have to find space elsewhere and figure out what that, really means. Space. Is it in person or is it virtual? So that's my assumption. Again, Mr. Falcone or Dr. Reynolds, you can chime in if you have something to add.
So through the president, the conversation and part of the plan that was originally stated gave us two avenues. If we're not able to open any of our schools, and while I do understand and recognize your request for us to not put the consideration of one population of students above the other, the original plan was that we would have our high school students continue in hybrid until we could rectify the situation, allowing our grades 4 through 6 students, elementary, to come into our available space, which would be the high school. But the other option that was considered would be utilizing additional space in the community. So for instance, a TDYCC, if that is available to us and we can reach an agreement, that would be an option for us to house some of our students, possibly a smaller population. But again, these were just at preliminary conversations. This is not a part of any specified plan at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Reynolds. Ms.
Can
Cato?
Sorry, were you done, Ms. Cato? Because I have a question.
I believe her, did she have time, Tracy, left?
I have,
You muted yourself
I
by
don't-
accident, Tracy.
I have no idea. I can't see the clock anymore.
Okay. All right. Ms. Cato, thank you for your questions and for
Thank
the
you.
work that you and your PTA is doing. We appreciate it. We're gonna let you out of the meeting now. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question, Mr. Reynolds, and you may or may not have the answer to this, but I know the RJ Bailey and Woodlands Middle High School students are expected to start back with the first cohort on the 19th, which is less than 2 weeks away. When would we know if it is deemed, as Ms. Cato said, for RJ Bailey to be uninhabitable? When would we know what the plan is going to be?
Thank you very much for that question, Trustee Maris. So it was a consideration of the district that we would conduct all of the necessary repairs to the best of our ability at Bailey, which we are currently under, I don't want to say construction, under rectifying any outlying issues currently. The intent was to have the air quality test again reconducted by the end of this week, and we are supposed to have that information by the weekend. That was the information that I received. And at this point, I'm going to ask either Mr. Falcone or Ms. O'Neill to please correct me if I am wrong or misstating anything. Mr. Falcone?
Right?
I'm just trying to follow the guidance of the architect and the air, what is it called, air assessment audit in the building. And that's something that I'll be working with the board as well with.
Okay.
Okay, so
Tracy, we're gonna hold and let the public continue to come in. So if you can let the next person in.
okay. The next person is Rita Jones. Let me just find her in here. Okay.
See your name.
Yes, Ms. Jones, we see your name. I think you just need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I am.
All right, good evening, Ms. Jones.
Good evening, Antoinette. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back, Mr. Reynolds. I have 4 points I'd like to make. The Woodlands High School Scholarship Fund has been an integral part of the Woodlands High School support system. Mr. Charles Snyder founded the Scholarship Fund in the 1960s, and he was the Board of Education president here in Greenberg. However, we are being treated as outside organizations. Consequently, we were removed from the Woodlands High School homepage. Recently, we requested technical support for our annual fundraiser. We were told that the tech team is waiting for guidance from leadership. The Woodlands High School Scholarship Fund is now requesting a standard operating procedure for getting support from the tech team. Number 2, even before the COVID pandemic, there has been a noticeable and disturbing trend in the use of electronic media in our classrooms. Studies have shown that paperless learning reduces the ability for students to retain information in their long-term memory. Computer learning is similar to cramming for an exam. To improve test scores, handheld books need to remain as an essential part of a student learning experience. And number 3, is there a checklist of health requirements for our students and staff for re-entry into our buildings? And if so, what stage are we in this district? Number 4, there is a severe conflict of duty when the superintendent is included in emails directed to the board. The board's role is to assess and monitor the superintendent's performance. The superintendent should not have access to these board email.
Ms. Jones?
My time is up?
I can't see you, Ms. Jones. I can't tell if your time's up.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you can't see me? Oh, sorry.
No,
about
I
that.
mean, you're on,
You wanna see
I
me?
think
Okay.
you don't have your picture, like your camera on,
There we are.
but yes, I see your camera now, so it's good to see your face.
What?
I believe, and I believe that feels like, and Carol, you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's also in the realm of personnel as well.
No, it isn't. That's a statement and it's a fact. And, the superintendent is the superintendent. That's not personnel. It's the fact that you have her on your email, and that's not personnel.
Okay, so hold on for 1 second. I do see Carol unmuted herself, so she might wanted to add something.
Well, she can add.
I would agree. I don't think that this is as much of a personnel issue of a particular person as it is a statement that Ms. Jones is saying she is making a comment, whether correct or not, that she doesn't believe that any superintendent should be on a board email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, and my apologies, Ms. Jones. Continue.
Yeah. How many more minutes do I have?
The time was up, sorry.
Time is
All
up.
right.
when?
So
Not counting this.
before I interrupted,
Yeah, the time was up before.
I'm not sure of that. Who's saying that, Laser?
Yes.
yes, that's laser, Ms. Jones.
I just have 2 things. The calendars, are they going to be sent out? And the agendas to the community, why aren't we getting the agendas in the community anymore? We do pay taxes.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Jones, for
Yes.
your questions.
Okay.
The calendars, I can't remember what meeting we did it, but we did it a few months ago. And we said we would have limited copies. I think we were printing 2,000. Ivy, correct me if I'm wrong, we would print 2,000 of them, and then they would be made available in the school buildings, and community members will be able to have access to that. Of course, the access is also on the website.
Okay,
so
but
as far as the calendar, but Ms. Jones, I'm just answering your questions. You can't really.
You can't answer. I can't answer you back. I'll write to you then.
Yep, you're right, me. You can't ask additional questions.
Okay.
And
you should have told me that in advance.
Yes, you got your 2-minute time, and that is it.
Can you answer my questions though?
Scholarship fund, technology support.
Well, as far as the standard of operating procedure from the tech team, so I'm taking that as a request, which I will pass on to the superintendent as far as that request.
Number 2, the books.
The books, I believe someone else brought that up in a different meeting, so I will also pass that on to the superintendent. Dr. Reynolds is here.
Can I just, Antoinette, may I just say something?
Yes.
So,
Wait, is it are you answering something,
Yes.
Tanya? Okay.
Yes, it's with respect to Ms. Jones' question about electronic learning, which as a member of the Education Committee, I have grave concerns about as an educator as well. And I think that this is something that we actually need to discuss. I know it's a bit of a philosophical question, but I think it's an important question about how students actually learn and what the best way to learn is. And I personally really agree with this notion that, you know, online electronic learning is not, I mean, I know that we currently don't really have much of a choice, but at the same time, I think that this is a really important issue, as many of you perhaps know. Many of the, you know, I actually just saw a movie called Social Dilemma, which I recommend to all of you, that brings up this issue of learning and the fact that, you know, many of these tech company executives actually take away the devices from their children, whereas we are just shoving these devices down their throats. And we really need to have this discussion as a school district about what it is that we're really doing with respect to learning. I'm going to stop there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so again,
Number 3.
Mr. Williams has his hand up also. I don't know if it's in response to this second question or if Ms. Jones is third.
Thank you. This is an interesting conversation, but we should ask our experts, our education experts, to answer this question.
I actually already did that, Terry, and was just about to ask Dr. Reynolds if he had something.
Sure, but you allowed somebody who's not an education expert to go on. So I would just caution. Oh, I'm sure about it. I mean, we know what your expertise is supposedly and what you said about some things.
Terry,
so, I mean, we pay Dr. Reynolds, and we pay Dr. Chase, who unfortunately is not here. They should be answering those questions because she is speaking for the board, and that's and she's not the board. She's her own person.
Madam President.
I'm sorry, Ms. Terry, I want you to say something. Give me 1 second, Terry. I hear what you're saying. I just wish that we would not disparage another board member in order to make your point. Ms. Carey?
Yeah, I just want to say, I hope we will stop with the political bandering because we need to get through with these issues that we have. We have a long meeting. So let us just get finished with what we have to do. Can you move us on, please?
Yep, thank you, Ms. Carey. Dr. Reynolds, about the handheld books, did you want to have anything to add to that?
Thank you. Through the president, this is absolutely a philosophical debate. There is research on both sides, which states that a handheld book is more conducive to adolescent learning. And there's also information that states technology allows for multiple modalities to be utilized rather than just the stationary books. And if you look at it from a physiological perspective, parents have often complained that book bags get too heavy with books, which is a reason why many school districts have moved to electronic books for textbooks purposes. Thirdly, from a budgetary standpoint, it is a lot more cost effective to have textbooks provided in an electronic form because any updates to those textbooks are instantaneous, as opposed to having to purchase new hardcover textbooks. So it is a philosophical debate, which I think should be held, not a debate, forgive me, a philosophical conversation that should be held in the educational setting of the Education Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Thank you, Ms. Jones, for your questions. Tracy, we need the next person next.
Sorry. Okay, the next person is Patricia Weems. I'm gonna let her in and I'm gonna take out Miss Rita Jones.
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Weems.
Hi there. Glad to see you all.
Well, good. We can't see you because you don't have your camera on, but thank you
No
for
camera.
thank you for being here with us. Okay, Miss Weems, you have your 2 minutes. It's starting. It's 2 minutes, so just be
Excuse me,
mindful of
how
that.
long have y'all been on?
Maybe I would say we started about 6:36. I mean,
I've been
about
trying to get in
6:40.
all of this time.
Say that again.
I've been trying to get in since 6:25.
Yeah, but we're up to you. We still kept the order of the public comment. So
I have not heard any of the public comments.
oh, if you've been in the meeting, then you don't get to, like, if you're in the meeting, I guess you can't hear with other if you're in a waiting room, you can't, I don't think you can hear what other comments are being said.
Well, then I'm gonna pass. Y'all have a nice evening.
Wait, Ms. Wee, so you don't want to say anything at all?
I have a lot to say. One is that I don't come to a meeting and listen to, I see 3 people. Who is in the meeting?
I guess the only way
I mean the board members.
Oh,
And
all
who
of us are here.
We're all 7 here.
All of the board members are here. The reason why you can't see everyone, if you click on the arrow, you'll be able to scroll down, but we have the electronic time clock so we can keep track of the time. So that's why you don't see us all on the big screen. But we're all here.
It is my understanding that a firm has been hired to begin recruitment for a new superintendent. I think this is a good idea, but I would also like to suggest that we will not have the same problem that we've made in the past, that the new assistant superintendent be the intern superintendent.
Miss Weems, I'm sorry, could you stop for 1 second?
Oh, I only have 2 minutes.
I know, but it's paused. So it's paused. So I just wanted to let you know you also are venturing down the personnel items road, so you won't be able to discuss those items.
I don't want to discuss it
on
for
those
the board. Now, you said it was, nobody here was there but the 7 members.
No, Miss, wait, Miss Weems. No, you asked me if all 7 members were here.
Yes.
All 7 of us are here, including Dr. Reynolds, including Mr. Falcone, including Mary O'Neill, including our board lawyer is also here too, Carol Melnick. So everyone is here. You just, again, from your site, because we have this large the large clock, you can't see everyone else, but everyone's here. But even despite that, if everyone wasn't here, we still can't speak about personnel matters.
No, you said no one's there but those people's names that you called. So I
Tell her
can't.
on YouTube.
Yes, everybody else is watching through YouTube.
Okay, I'll go to YouTube.
Okay, so you don't have any other comments to make?
Yes, I have other comments to make, but if I can't make the one I want, I need to know what suppression of the vote is and suppression of information and transparency. Because I'm giving you a suggestion. And that's what it is. Nobody can suggest.
No, I mean, you can't suggest if it has to do with personnel matters.
Then how do I become a member of the personnel committee? Because that's why I started last year in 2019, asked to be on, and I'm still not on. So
Well,
you can run the clock. You can run the clock.
Well, pause that for a second. So for one, we no longer, at a meeting prior, we separated some of our committees. So right now we have the education and the wellness committee. The personnel committee the personnel portion of that is no longer a part of it. So
well, do you have any reports from the committee people?
We haven't started meeting yet. We haven't.
No, I mean, since this is now what? This is November.
No, Ms. Weems, you're moving us pretty quickly. It's not November, it's still early October, but we did create those committees back in August. I believe we finalized most of them. And so they are there. We just have to meet, and the board was trying to wait to see if our virtual meetings were lifted by the governor. He has extended it, so we're still meeting that way. but I understand that most committees are trying to also, are trying to gather and plan meetings. We have to work through some kinks as far as minutes
Well,
and
I tell you
things
what,
like that.
I'll use my 2 minutes just to get the information from you. You're stating that there's no section where you have participation in employment from any place on our board, and that is in conjunction with the Personnel Policy Procedures Manual for Greenberg Central School District.
Pause that. Ms. Marine, I didn't catch your question. Could you just ask that one more time, please?
I certainly will. What is the policy and procedures number for hiring practices in our policy manual? That will be a question that you can send me an answer back to.
Okay.
Second one is, since that is also is not, I don't think any of this is personnel. I will write to the New York State Regents and ask them again, what is personnel? I would like to like the board to seek the service of an investigative accountant. Is this also going to be a personnel matter?
I don't believe that one is, but investigative, seek a
An accountant
investigative
to see
accountant.
whether there are any problems within the books of our district.
Okay.
I believe at any time the financial executive officer is leaving, the same manner in which the superintendent is giving a school year's notice, all assistant superintendents should also give adequate notice so an accountant can be there before that person leaves. This audit should make sure that all financial codes are accounted for and things of that nature. All right, my third one is my concern on the decennial census. Our district has a lot of undocumented children. I was thinking that if possible, Mr. Pineda would spearhead this minute, the last minute push to increase our count of coverage. And if it would be of great help, he could contact the churches that have parishioners that are Spanish and attend and speak to that pastor and ask if there's anything that they could do to help us. And I would be happy to assist Mr. Pineda if he is willing to take this risk. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Weems, for your questions. We appreciate them and your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. The next person, Tracy, we have is Sarah Lazari.
Thank you. So I didn't have to look on my other device. I'm letting her in right now.
Okay. All right. Sound is up. Now I lost her again. But Miss Lazari, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Lazari.
Sure. So my first question is about item D1 from the agenda, the budget code transfers. I see that there were 4 additional general ed classes that must have been added at LFJ. So I wanted to get more information about what these classes are and why they were added. My second question is I wanted to know the cost of Ray and Associates, the superintendent search firm that you all voted to hire. I wanted to know how much taxpayer money is going into that. And 3, I wanted to make a quick statement that I am deeply concerned with the board's lack of transparency about the future of our district. Parents, who are arguably the most invested stakeholders in our district, have been completely shut out of any type of conversation regarding the future. And we're angry, and we're not a small group. I think that this district is very strong. My child is young, I am new to the district, and I have made the decision to be a part of it. So I want us to stay on this upward trajectory that we've been on since 2015 when Dr. Chase joined us.
Ms. Lazari, just make sure that when you, I'm sorry, pause that. Thank you. When you are saying that, just please stay away from personnel. But
certainly.
Continue. Thank you.
Sorry about that. So I want the board to engage all of the public. I want you to engage particularly with the parents You should have done this months ago, and you need to do it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lazari. Appreciate your questions. Dr. Reynolds, the need for additional classrooms.
It's D1. They have
D1.
4 additional gen ed classes at Lee F. Jackson. That's listed twice, actually.
Please give me 1 second to review. Budget code transfer D1 for 4 additional gen ed classrooms. I'm going to ask Ms. O'Neill if she can help me with this. This looks like it's a transfer into the employee retirement system. Ms. O'Neill, can you help me with this, please?
Actually, it's a transfer out of the employees' retirement system, and I have Miss Amy Ashley Moore on the line, the district treasurer, to speak about the budget transfers as they relate to the closeout of last year.
Thank you, Mary. I can't see her. Amy?
Hi, good evening. So when we close out for the end of the year, we have to do those budget transfers. I'm not sure what more information you need. If you need more information, I can definitely get back to you and have that emailed to you.
Sure. So was that for last year then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The other question in regards to the Ray and Associates costs, we're still in contract discussions, so that's something that we can't share at this point because we're still working through the contract. But once that is finalized, we will share additional information. So for right now, during that time, we just can't.
Okay, I would just think that that would be part of why you chose. Also, would the cost be a consideration, or are they similar?
So the cost was, they
It still is, but we are negotiating through that. Our lawyers, with them, and our lawyers are both discussing items within that.
Okay.
All right.
Terry has his hand up.
Terry?
Thank you. Perhaps as a proxy or to give the public some indication, we should, if Mary has it handy, perhaps share with the public how much we spent with firms during the last 2 searches. I have an idea, but I'm not sure of the amount. And that could give people an idea, a ballpark of the amount of money that may be spent.
If you could possibly give me the name of a vendor, I will try to log in and see if I can find that. Do you recall the last search firm?
The last one escapes me at the moment. They were a respondent to this one. They're the one with, well, Hazard Young was the one previously. The other one, it was called something real basic, like Search Consultant something. Their representative lives in New Rochelle. And I can see her face. I know her personally because she was a superintendent here in Westchester.
You're muted, Terry. You're muted.
Sorry, LaRuth Gray's firm, and I think her name was in the proposal as well. LaRuth Gray is her name.
Okay, give me a few minutes. I'll see.
School Leadership LLC.
What was it called?
School Leadership LLC.
I knew it was something real basic. Thank you, David.
So typically, if the public and community is interested in documents, it's something that they would FOIL.
It's not something that's usually provided from the platform of the board meeting. something for the board to consider.
Thank you for that. But also, we're trying to be transparent here and try to win the trust of our public. So while it certainly is something that's foilable, I think in the interest of good board community relations, if we have it handy, we could give it to them.
I hope that we do this with all information then.
Yeah, I think in the interest of time, maybe we
We
could
really
just
should.
provide this information to Ms. Lazari and email it to her, because I think fundamentally, it's neither here nor there. I mean, I think it is a cost. It's not an enormous cost, as we all know, and I'm not sure that past costs speak to current costs or future costs. So maybe we could just email it to her and move on.
Yep. All right, Ms. Lazari, we will follow up with you.
Okay, thanks.
Ivy, can you just put that in as a reminder to me to follow up? Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, next I have Catherine McGee. I'm gonna let her in now.
Wait, hold on for one.
Oh,
forget it. No, you're still there, Miss Lazari.
Sorry.
I thought I had like a little third mark here. I have Ray Associates. I have your needed additional classrooms. Did you have a third one?
Just my state.
Okay, that was it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, yes. Okay, hi Katie, I see you. You're muted. Thank you for joining us. The clock is up. You have 2 minutes. You're still muted, Katie.
Yes, I am not used to being allowed to unmute myself. Thank you.
Okay, you go.
I am looking forward to hearing what the building walkthrough revealed. And I'd like to know, when will we, the public, get, or when will the district post or share a copy of these air quality reports? The ones, whichever ones have already come in. I assume they've come in for Jackson and Highview because students are going to be there next week. So please, whether it's that the board needs to still look at them, maybe you can confirm that all of you have looked at these air quality reports, got them vetted by the lawyers if you think you need to do that, and let us know when they're going to be posted on the website, maybe shared with school messenger. We parents really need to know this. We need to be able to look at these documents. My second point is, I urge you to approve that business contract D2. Seems like a wise choice, especially since there's going to be a vacancy with the assistant superintendent of business leaving. I want to know how the board is going to ensure that our budget and other district business needs will be taken care of properly with this vacancy happening in a year that is our superintendent's last contract year. Okay, I have more time. When is the fiscal and facility committee going to meet? I urge this committee and the whole board to move with the same alacrity that you have shown in choosing a superintendent search firm. That happened quickly. It's been 1.5 years since the bond. We need more meetings. We need special meetings. We need plans for our infrastructure rectification, or whatever you want to call it. This pandemic has shown that our infrastructure problems are super real, and they're causing kids not to be able to get into school. Okay. I guess I'll email the rest of my things I was going to say.
Was your time? Okay. All right. So you know that the building walkthrough report, that will be later on, given by David. I know the quality review is the environment. I'm still reading through it. I don't know if anyone's necessarily waiting for me, but that is something that we will post. It does have to. We do like to send it to our lawyers to review to make sure that it's ready to be posted. But that is in the works. Dr. Reynolds, I see your hand is up.
I apologize to the president. I may have misquoted before. It is not an air quality report. I want us to be very clear on that. It is a ventilation assessment report based on the necessity for making some changes due to COVID.
And thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Katie, I'm still believing you still want to see that as well. All right. And
Yes, any and all of these reports.
okay. And then David, I believe you are still on the fiscal and facilities committee. I know we still need to talk a little bit as far as, but have you any idea of your first meeting?
I would like to do it the week of the 26th, because I think what's going to happen from the facilities perspective is that we're going to sprint to the point of the school reopening, and then the facilities guys will collapse, and then they have to get back up. And if we wait beyond the end of the month, then we'll lose our assistant superintendent for business. So the best time, I think, is that week of the 26th. I'm looking for dates that other facilities and finance committee members are available. That's 26, 27, 28, right in there. So we'll look at our calendars.
Okay, so we can give, if in the event something comes up before, something is settled before our next board meeting, it'll be posted and all of that.
So I'm sorry, I just have a question. So David, are you going to reach out to the rest of us with potential dates so that
Yes.
we can get the ball? Okay.
Yes, I will do
Fair
that.
enough. Okay.
All right, Katie, I thought you had one more question after that. Or maybe I just put a mark there because I thought you were gonna say something else and then you paused.
No, I asked, how will the board ensure that the budget and other district business needs are going to be taken care of properly with the vacancy happening with the assistant superintendent of business leaving in a month?
Okay. Mary, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that Mary will be doing some work on the budget, if I'm correct. I believe I read that somewhere. And of course, we still have additional help with our district treasurer, and we will have to make personnel decisions to ensure that we have the people in place to ensure that we have a budget ready. That, of course, is one of our top priorities. So a budget will be available for our public to consider and to vote on in May. Okay. Thank you, Katie. Appreciate your questions. Next person is Chris Valin.
Thank you, Antoinette. I'll let her in now. I don't see her. Is she ETG Flash Force US? Let's try it. That's the only person that was there. Chris, is that you?
No.
No?
No, that is not. So just hold on. I don't see her.
I don't know who that was.
I don't see her in the waiting room. So let's move forward with the next person. That next person was, let's see, Roy Fenichel. I apologize if I butchered your name. Mr. Fenichel? Yes, it's connecting. Mr. Fenichel, can you hear us now? I think you're muted.
Yes, I can.
Okay. If you could, you're ready. Thank you for joining us, and please share your questions.
Thank you for having me. Transparency. We strive for it in our families, and we have a right to it from our elected officials. I know you agree because your bylaws require it, and several of you were once on this side of the microphone advocating for all children of Greenburgh. For decades, Greenburgh has encouraged open meetings, open public comment on all matters, especially district direction. What is more important than the future leadership of our district? Yet in the middle of a pandemic, while parents, community members, educators are focused solely on safely educating our children, you decided to have secret discussions about where you wanted to take the district, on whom you wanted to lead us. You refused to put your discussions on the agenda. You refused to discuss or take questions or comments in open session. For months, you prevented the public from even attending meetings or speaking on issues affecting our children. Yet we suddenly learned that you secretly had all kinds of district future discussions, ignoring hundreds of pleas to publicly discuss what you were doing, what you were planning. Nothing, not one time did you publicly share that you were discussing anything about the future of our district, much less deciding things in secret until you informed us that you were privately making all kinds of decisions, secretly deciding district future, secretly deciding whether and how to seek a new superintendent, secretly whether to issue an RFP, secretly preparing an RFP.
Please refrain from saying any personnel matters. Please continue. Thank you.
I have not mentioned a single personnel in the district. Secretly sending out the RFP, secretly reviewing responses, never sharing with the very public you promised to engage, you are obligated to engage, that you should want to engage. Suddenly, while everyone was focused on safely educating our children, you shocked the conscience with an, oh, by the way, look at all the secret steps we took, and like magic, you've retained a firm to conduct the superintendent search. All in secret, all in a pandemic, all without even saying what you were doing, much less discussing whether or not during a pandemic is the best time for kids. No agenda, no public notice, and you banned public from the meeting for months with no public discussion. Please, let's restart the process out in the open. Our kids deserve your best. Start over and engage the community.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. I hope you have a good evening. I will say this, Tracy, don't do anything yet. I will say this. I know that we have had our NISBA representative, the deputy director, explain the process with executive session in making such decisions. I know that what you just expressed, how you felt, but I will say this. I think each and every one of us here take our roles extremely seriously. I know for me, and I'll take the liberty to speak for the rest of the board. Everything that we do, everything that I know that I do in my head is grounded by children. We all have kids, and we're all dedicated to doing what's best for children. I will say also, we are following education law. Every time we go into an executive session, we always have to state the reason why. And we do get those reasonings. Our district clerk helps with them, also our lawyers. So we are not like making them up. It is just a part of education law. We go into executive sessions to have the discussion about matters that cannot be shared with the public. And we're trying our best to follow the law and to make decisions in accordance and guidance by the law. So I do appreciate your comments. And
Can you explain why not a single mention of the search, not a single word, agenda item 0, until you already had chosen a firm to retain to find a new super? Not a single word, agenda item the whole time. Not a single word, not a single agenda item. It never appeared in any public meeting at all.
If you look on the agenda, like for today, right? If you look on tonight's agenda, when you look under where it says anticipated to adjournment to executive session, there's a motion that has to always be said, and it tells you why that we are going into executive session. And so those items list that each and every time.
But for the last 6 months, there was not a single mention.
If you go back and look at our agendas and you look at executive sessions, you'll see that I can't see the clock. So someone will have to,
Okay,
you know, tell
well,
me.
if
But
someone
I
could get
just
back to
want-
me, because my time is up, if someone could get back to me where it was mentioned over the last 6 months, anything about future district superintendent search, anything along those lines, even a single word in agenda, if someone could send that to me, I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Evan, for your time.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, Antoinette, Chris Valin is there.
All right. I still don't see her, but go ahead. Did
Okay.
you let her in?
I'm letting her in right now.
Where's Chris?
She is here. She's the 232 number.
Okay. All right. Miss Valin, thank you for being here. I see you're there. If you could just unmute, so you can go ahead and go along, you know, share your items.
Is there a way to unmute with the phone? Maybe I can unmute her. Oh, no, doesn't let me.
I'm trying, I can't, yes, it's unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay, so first, apologies, no camera. My kids are using it to do homework. A couple questions. Some of them have already been answered, and I'm going to speak quickly so I can save time. Regarding the superintendent search firm contract, I'd like to know if the search methodology has been determined. If not, will the board commit to do an open search process? Will the board allow for the public to meet with the search firm without the presence of board members or administrators, as we've done in previous searches? That's one item. Second item, I guess, is directed towards Dr. Reynolds. What are the plans for music and PE classes once the weather is too foul to be outside? And then specific questions about chorus. Will they sing with masks on, or will vocal practice and recording be done from home? And other items be covered in class? Can we address woodwind instrument practice? How can that be made safe indoors, especially flutes, which require blowing air across rather than into the instrument? Will masks with small cuts be used to cover mouthpieces for other instruments such as brass and oboes? Will bell covers be used for brass instruments? These are all questions I'd sent administrators in the past, and I haven't heard full answers. Will teachers have microphones to help with their clarity in all classes? And can we get an update on the remote cameras that we were looking into a few weeks ago that would follow teachers during classes for the at-home learners? Okay, next topic, the grab-and-go lunch pickup. Can we get an update on logistics for that? Currently, it's pickups between Monday and Friday, between 7:45 and 10 for those learning at home. I believe that will continue to be the process, but I want to know if there should be any changes in the pickup time or place due to the logistics of the school buses and the parent drop-offs for the in-school learners. And all my other statements I've put in the chat, which people can refer to. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, let me see. As far as Ms. Valin, as far as the RFP, the search firm, I think we shared this at the last meeting. The community will be involved in that. And the exact process hasn't been laid out to us as a board, but I know that we will be meeting eventually again to discuss some of those things. But I do know that from my conversation with one of the lead members that there may be, there will be a committee, and as a board, we have to discuss what that looks like as far as how community will be a part of the committee, how many, what that structure is. We haven't discussed it as a whole board and decided on that, but the plan is definitely to include community members, to include, I believe, surveys as well. Let me see.
I wouldn't,
And then,
Did you need to clarify, Chris?
yeah,
I would just hope that the board would consider involving the community a little more beyond. Surveys, I think, are an important start, but I hope we take an open step to having full meetings like we did 2 searches ago, so that we get a broader perspective.
well, like I said, surveys is one part, but being a part of a committee is another part of it. So that is happening too.
Right. In the past, we've gone beyond committees as well, and we've had, I forget the term,
Like
more
a
open
like a
meetings.
forum or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. Let me see. You said something in regards to, I don't know this question, Dr. Reynolds, I'm not sure, you or someone else, as far as like music, the mass that you're able to.
No, she asked about music and PE when the weather is bad, and then chorus and whether or not they're going to be singing with their mask on.
Yes, and if there was some sort of way to do that.
Thank you. Through the president, and thank you very much for that line of questioning. So there's several things that are still being considered in relationship to PE and music classes taking place when the weather gets a little bit more inclement. Part of the plan of consideration is those classes taking place for the most part and to the best of our ability in the classroom spaces where the teacher will travel to the classroom. Keeping the students, for the most part, in their natural classroom spaces. For larger types of classes where there are multiple classes that will come together, we have to ensure what's recommended by the CDC, which is 12 feet of separation whenever there is extra movement or projection of voice or projection of musical instrument. As it relates specifically to chorus, that would fall under that consideration, because once you start singing, you're elevating and you are expanding the space between you and the next person. So we have to comply with at least the 12 feet of distancing. With regards to band and wind instruments, and I'm going to lump all wind instruments into this answer, we are still seeking guidance from NISMA as to best practices. What a lot of districts are considering at this point, you mentioned in your question, in your line of questioning, which would be the use of the bell, what is it called, bell
covers.
Bell covers for our brass instruments that have the bell shape. There's very specific thought behind the use of flutes, or actually not using flutes in the public spaces. We are also looking at whenever our wind instruments are being utilized, students do wear a face mask, which has a small slit in the face mask, just enough to for the instrument to be entered into the mouth. And again, while doing all of these, utilizing the 12 feet of distance. We are not in a position to make a ready comment as to which way we're going yet, because NISMA is still making some considerations. But what we would like to do is employ what is being utilized in most school districts, as long as it's in the best interest of our students. I hope I answered all points of your question.
I think you've covered most of that one. Okay. There's the point about the microphones and the remote cameras that we were looking into.
Yes, I can answer that as well, Madam President, if you would allow me to.
Please do so, Dr. Reynolds.
Sure, thank you. So we discussed that we will not have the use of remote cameras. What we will do is allow teachers to bring in their personal devices, which would be one point of vision of camera usage, along with utilizing stationary cameras on whatever smart board or whiteboard device we have. So giving 2 points of vision for our students. What becomes remote is the teacher using their laptop or whatever device it is that they're using remotely and moving that around with them. And for those teachers who are request the need for microphones, we are providing those to them. Those requests come through our technology department. We were able to facilitate a few of those this week, and we ensure that our teachers will have the tools that they need in order to be successful, because we know teacher success equals student success.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I don't know who would address the grab and go lunch logistics. If anyone.
I can look into the grab and go if you'd like and get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And go. Okay. I think that is it. Chris, I'm trying to just make sure I go through. Yes, thank you, Miss Valin.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is Mr. Weintraub.
Yep.
I'm letting him in now.
Yes, thank you, Miss Valin.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is Mr. Weintraub.
Yep.
I'm letting him in now.
There's a delay.
Hello, can you hear me? You see me?
Yes, thank you, Miss Valin.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is Mr. Weintraub.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm letting him in now.
There's a delay.
There is a delay. Hold on, I gotta get off of. Let me mute the YouTube. Hello, can you hear? Yes. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now? We're good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time this evening to hear our questions. So a couple of questions I have. Number one, how will our teachers be able to handle both in-person and virtual learning at the same time? What training have they been given on how to do this? I know some other districts have different teachers for in-person and virtual. Has this been a consideration at all? Secondly, I wanted to know if we will be resuming chess class, which was like an after-school activity or whatever, if that's going to be, because we had it in the spring and it's no longer been offered. So will chess be thing? And the third point that I wanted to make is really something more general, which is, I was disappointed that the bond didn't pass. And I want to know what the board sees as the vision for the future of this school district. Is it at all possible that we can make Greenburgh become as desirable as our surrounding district, like Scarsdale and like Ardsley? I've been living here since 2004, and my son is in 3rd grade, and he's gotten a great education thus far. And I was really hoping for the passing of this bond and really wanted to see this district grow because I think it's a fantastic place to live. But what's been happening with the bond not passing has really been saddening to us as a family. And we want to know what's going to happen. What do you guys see as the future? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Reynolds, in regards to, could you respond to the teachers handling in-person and virtual, and is chess coming back?
Thank you very much to the president, Ms. Weintraub. We have considered that having teachers who are assigned specifically to remote. We know that some districts are able to accommodate that due to the size of their teaching unit. It is not a viable option for us at this point, only because of our limited number of teachers per students. The other part that becomes a little bit challenging is the difficulty of then reorganizing students into remote-only classrooms, which would basically mean whomever our students have started their instruction with would possibly have to be changed to receive instruction from a new person if we were to employ that. But it has been a consideration. It's still not off the table. We still don't know where we are. because there are requests for accommodations that are being considered. So again, we have to revisit that as the time goes on. As it relates to the second part of your question was
Chess.
chess. I have been in communication with the National Scholastic Chess Foundation. And if I may put in a plug, it is through them when I was a teacher at Lee F. Jackson that I learned how to play chess. So I do value that program also. Part of our conversation is the real viability of teaching chess to new students remotely full-time, because as you know, we're not having any visitors, and I'm using the term visitors in air quotes, I apologize for doing that, in our building. So we're looking to see what our viable options are. So a decision will be made in the coming future about whether chess will be offered this year. And again, that is only in relation to our current standing with COVID. So should schools open up, it will absolutely be in place. But we want to fully consider what our options are.
Right, okay, but back to the first question, what sort of training are the teachers been? I just can't imagine how a teacher is going to be able to handle 10 kids in class and 10 kids online at the same time. What sort of training or guidelines or anything has been given to them about this?
President Darden?
Dr. Reynolds, you can share, please.
Okay. So the training is more specific to the online and remote teaching that our teachers have been doing for the past few months. So the question has come up several times. It is going to be a bit of a challenge. We understand that. We know our teachers are experts and not everything will be as smooth as it should be. I'm speaking from experience of a husband whose wife is doing the exact same thing. And I hear it from both sides. It is a bit of a challenge, but what's been expressed to me is the challenge of rearranging students just into remote classrooms. That is a lot more unnerving for our students than having the interaction with students in class and students at home. As a matter of fact, as with anything, as time goes on, it gets a bit easier on a day-by-day interaction, particularly when our students and families become used to the hybrid of who's coming in and who's going out. As a matter of fact, my colleagues who are teachers have shared with me that we see an increased involvement, interaction of students who are at home with those who are in the classroom, so that it does become a lot more seamless as time goes on. That's our desire and that's our hope. And I wish I had a better answer for you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I believe your last question. Again, I'm just the board president. I would say, as far as the vision for the future, we'd like, I don't know what it looks like, what it sounds like, how much it would be, but of course, we would like for our schools to be, our buildings to be repaired. And not just, up to condition, but, at the highest level that they possibly can be taken care of. We would like, the best education, higher levels of achievement for all of our students. Everything that you probably have in your own head and what you want for your children, we want that for all of the children of the Greenburgh Central School District. It's just a matter of figuring out how do we address all of the issues that we have, that we tackle and that we have to face. And again, just keep moving forward and putting the focus on achievement and putting the focus on healthy and safe schools and an environment where all of our students can learn. So I would say that's our overall vision. It's just a matter of how do we make that happen. So that's your answer to the last question. That's what I can give now without, specifics, but that's our overall, I would say that's our overall vision.
Right. Okay. Well, if I can just add, I'm hoping that whatever the future brings as far as money being spent or taxes, that there can be better communication about with the community, how that, number one, it seems to me the taxes are going to go up no matter what. It doesn't matter So wouldn't you rather have your taxes go up and have a better building, better facilities, and a better school district surrounding? I felt like that message was missed during this. We had a beautiful plans for a beautiful new campus that I think could have really elevated our community. And it was really saddening to me that it didn't pass. And I think part of the issue there was just the communication didn't get out into the community as well as it could have. Maybe I'm completely off base there, but it was really disappointing, and it's a shame. So I'll just leave you with that. My take.
Thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right, you too.
Okay.
Elaine Taylor Gordon. I believe that was the
ETG that I kicked out of the meeting.
Yes.
And now I cannot find it. So I don't know what to do. Laser, do you have any idea how?
The only thing I can think of, well, Laser, can she log back in with the link?
Yeah, if she clicks the link, she should be able to get back in.
Okay, I don't know, I can't see the YouTube, so I'm not sure if she's on there watching, but if by some chance she is on there watching, if you can, in the next few seconds, if you can log back in through your link, so this way we can hear your question.
Or if I don't know if she'll be allowed back in since I removed her, but
Was it removed or add to the waiting room?
Did you, did
you
you
remove
add
her
her
or add her to the waiting room?
I probably hit remove. I don't know now. But I think I removed her. I didn't know who it was at all. So
If you removed, yeah, I think you kicked her in.
sorry.
Okay, Miss Elaine Taylor Gordon, if you were removed and you can't get back in, my apologies for that.
Is there a way for her to call someone or something?
I mean, she might be on the YouTube, but again, I apologize for that, Miss Taylor Gordon. Myself or Ivy will reach back out to you and see if we can if you had any specific questions that we can follow up with you. So apologies for the mishap with that. With that said,
Mr. Pineda has his hand up.
Ashley.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure she could dial back in using just the phone.
Okay, so
that's what I was wondering.
You probably removed her and that blocked her PC, but she could probably dial into the phone if she wanted to try again.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to call her.
Actually, yeah. Do you have her number? Because that was the number that was calling me, I'm being told. Are you calling her, Antoinette? Okay. Antoinette, are you on the phone with her? Antoinette?
All right, everyone. So
You're muted.
okay, everyone. I called Elaine. She's Elaine, and she is on my phone. I hope that I'm still muted.
No, we can hear you. We're just waiting.
I know, but it just popped up saying that it was muted. Anyway, so Elaine is on my phone, and she's gonna try to go through that way. Hopefully, I won't have any feedback. Laser reset, and just keep the time up because sometimes the time comes down and I can't tell. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting laser reset. Okay, so can everybody hear Miss Elaine? No. Yes, Ashley put his thumbs up so we can hear you. So you go ahead, Elaine. Okay. All right, I'm going to do my best here. First of all, I really want to commend the board on an outstanding job under the most terrible conditions. I mean, these are really unprecedented times. Nobody really knows what to do. And I also want to thank them for their courageous decision regarding a search for an appropriate person to lead the charge here. Miss Elaine, just real quick, I just want to just remind you that, yes, please, thank you. Okay. I do want to ask a question because I understand that trustees do not discuss contractual and personnel issues in public either. So I wonder why one of the trustees has been prominently featured in the Mohawk story as a supporter, and why was he trying to publicize the names of trustees who voted not to extend the contract? Isn't that unethical and contrary to the board members' sworn pledge to the district as trustees? It's a rhetorical question, but I would like an answer at some point. I have to say that I really believe the schools have gone much further downhill in the 3+ years I have lived here. Enrollment is down, so are test scores, while special ed classifications appear to be. And instead of concentrating on dessert, Mandarin in the first grade, chess lessons, etc., there's got to be more meat and potatoes. Before the pandemic, it was clear that the ethnic balance had shifted and was more predominantly Latino and Black. But now it seems like Caucasians have almost disappeared. Their parents would still prefer to pay the cost of private schools on top of a huge school tax, rather than take a gamble on their children's future by enrolling them in Greenberg. We can't let that happen. The school system is an embarrassment for everyone. There has to be a master plan for growth, including a physical consolidation of the 13 school districts. I'm a graduate of High School of Music and Art, which is a top-rated New York City public school, open to all, with total minority enrollment of more than 55% and 29% of economically disadvantaged students. Not so different than ours. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, Ms. Elaine, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's only 2 minutes, so your time is up. Can you just complete this last thing that you were saying?
Last thing. They have 2,800 students in grades 9 to 12, 20 students for each teacher, and 99% are at least proficient in math and reading. I'd like to know, during this time of pandemic, what are our plans to get those scores up, whether they are virtual or in person?
Okay, thank you, Miss Elaine, for your
Thank you, Ms.
questions
Antoinette.
and your comments.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
All right, I'm gonna hang up with you now. Thank you for working through the technical difficulties. We appreciate it. All right, thank you. Have a good night. Put that down. Okay. Dr. Reynolds, any thoughts on the last portion, which is what are the plans to, I guess, just to keep working towards increasing achievement during this time, during the pandemic, with virtual and virtual and also in-person learning?
Absolutely. Thank you. Through the president. As educators, as professionals, our teachers, our administrators, all of our colleagues that work in the school building have not lowered our level of expectation for student performance, as well as for our own professional performance. Whether we are hybrid or whether we are in person, our expectation for student growth is still the same. This is an uncharted time. This is new to everyone. The preference of either being in person or remote is held by all of my colleagues professionally. But coming into a hybrid situation is something we've never done before. So it is going to take some thought, time, and support. But again, I want to express tremendously that our level of expectation is not lowered because any student is on either remote or in person. And we expect that we're going to have growth. How we measure that growth is still up to NYSET. We still do not have clarification on whether New York State tests will be employed this year. So again, how we measure our growth is still to be determined, but our expectation does not waver.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds, for that. All right, I'm just writing my notes. Okay, that is the last.
Tracy has her hand up.
So how do you want, because I have some questions sparked from some of the comments.
I would say, in my mind, eyes, like, can you, is there a place, let me look, hold on. I would say, can you pose your follow-up questions to go, under closing items?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, thank you to everyone that was able to sign up in time, share their questions when we had to go back and ask people to share their topic. They did, so we appreciate that. We appreciate all the questions, and thank you for participating in this public comment portion of our board meeting. We are now, it is anticipated adjournment to the executive session. Hands are up. Okay, so can I please have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment of particular persons?
And it says policy review.
Oh, did I skip?
Yes.
I apologize. Yes, policy review. If everybody goes into, if you're in board docs already, if you go under active, it is, there's 3 of them that we do need to go over. Not go over, but we actually went over before. All right. So if you go into the draft section under board review, there are the three, the 6121. So we sent these back. You should be able to see the admin. We referred it to Dr. Reynolds to review for 6121. This is sexual harassment district personnel to review. Admin has reviewed with no changes. I do not see, what we usually would see was after that, it should be the attorney review. Do we know if the attorneys did get this?
Yes, the attorney review.
Go ahead.
The attorney did review it. You had just requested at the last work session that Dr. Reynolds, since he had just gotten here basically, to review it, to give him an opportunity.
All right. Okay. Is everybody okay with 6121?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now we're moving on to 6220. Again, at the last one, we asked Dr. Reynolds to review it. He has. There's no recommended changes. And our attorneys has already chimed into that. Does anybody have any questions about it, or are we all on the same page in agreement with moving forward from this one?
Tracy has her hand up.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is for Dr. Reynolds or for Carol, but do we need to have, or should we have anything in there with regards to virtual learning for temporary personnel or substitute staff, teaching staff? Does that change anything?
What is the policy number that you're asking about?
6220.
And what is the title of it?
Temporary personnel. It includes student teachers, substitute teachers, or temporary personnel.
And Dr. Reynolds does have his mic unmuted, so I know you have something to share.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Maris, to the president. So the requirement for substitutes and all the practices and procedures within does not change due to virtual or any other type of learning environment. Your virtual or other learning, remote learning policies would dictate practices there, but not as it relates to this policy particularly. So there's no change needed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Carol, you good? Do you still want to share?
No, I just wanted to make sure I knew which policy you were referring to.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we're up to policy 8240. Again, this was instructional programs, driver education, gifted and talented education, physical education. We had Dr. Reynolds review. That review was done. There was a minor additions made. They appear in the blue font. And then the attorney reviewed. The policy still reflects the requirements under the education law and commissioner's regulations. So the updates are acceptable. David, I see your hand up.
Okay, so we've got under PE in that policy, I guess it's letter A. One of the blue changes is for K6, the PE requirement is at least 120 minutes in each 5 full day calendar week. So now the question is, we're in like sort of this Monday through Thursday thing where half the time some people are fully remote, some people are. So how does this policy apply in our current COVID-19 environment?
Thank you, Trustee Warner, through the president. So any regulations as it relates to New York State education law that is relaxed due to COVID would be done on the state level. our requirement to fulfill what is dictated by education law. And Ms. Melnick, please correct me if I'm wrong. Anything that we have in terms of policy must be in place in case we come out of COVID at any given time. So we would not make COVID specific changes, whether it's to our schedule, the number of days of the week, or who's on hybrid, specifically in this policy.
That's correct. In your reopening, in your reopening plan, anytime that you provide information on hybrid or virtual learning, you would do it that way without changing your actual policies. And my understanding as well is that that teachers are embedding some physical education activities in their daily learning as well.
Sure, to the best of our ability. Okay, good, thank you.
Antoinette, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking.
Yes, I am. My laptop is acting crazy. Okay, so yes, so I was saying, does anybody have any other questions about these three policies? Okay, all right. Now we're up to executive session, so it is anticipated to adjournment to executive session. Hold on. Can I get a motion to adjourn to the executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for board action this evening, and to meet with the attorney under attorney-client privilege?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any abstentions? The motion carries. We're going into executive session. Dr. Reynolds, I think there are some items that you do not need to cover along with us. So I don't know if you are, could you say?
Sorry, Antoinette. Do you want me to stop the live?
Yes, you can stop the live. So if you can